I think I might just know what this is about. Last week, Rowley had to take a quiz during fourth per- period, so I walked the kindergartners home on my own. It had rained that morning, and there were a lot of worms on the sidewalk. So I decided to have some fun with the kids. Okay, he is worms. Little kids. But some neighborhood lady saw what I was doing and she yelled at me from her front porch. It was Mr. Irving, who is friends with Rowley's mom. She must have thought I was Rowley because I was borrowing his coat and I wasn't about to correct her either. Rowley Jefferson, the principal is going to hear about this. Yes, mom. I forgot about the whole incident until today. Anyway, Mr. Lewinsky told Rowley he's going to have to apologize to the kindergarteners tomorrow morning and that he's suspended from patrols for a week. I knew I should probably just tell Miss Winsky it was me who chased the kids with the worms, but I wasn't ready to set the record straight just yet. I knew if I confessed, I'd lose it my hot chocolate privilege. And that's right, there was enough to make me keep quiet for the time being. At dinner tonight, Mom could tell something was bothering me, so she came up to my room afterwards to talk. I told her I was in a tough situation and I didn't know what to do. I got to give Mom credit for how she handled it. She didn't try to pry. I don't know this word pry and get all the details. All she said was that I should try to do the right thing because it's our choices that make us who we are. I figure that's pretty decent advice, but I'm still not 100% sure what I'm going to do tomorrow. Thursday. Well, I was up all night tossing and turning over these rolling situations, but I finally made up my mind. I decided to right thing to do was to just let Rowley take one for the team this time around. I'm sorry, I terrorized your you children. On the way home from school, I came clean with Rowley and told him the whole truth about what happened and how it was me who chased the kids with the worms. Then I told him there were lessons we could both learn from this. I told him I learned to be more careful about what I do in front of Mrs. Irving's house, and that he learned a valuable lesson too, which is this: be careful about who you lend your coat to. I guess this has been a learning experience for both of us. To be honest with you, my message didn't seem to be getting through Raleigh. We were supposed to hang out after school today, but he said he was just going to go home and take a nap. I couldn't really blame him because if I didn't have my hot chocolate this morning, I wouldn't have had much energy either. When I got home, Mom was waiting for me at the front door. Did you do the right thing? Yeah. Mom took me out to get some ice cream as a special treat. And what this whole episode has taught, taught me is that every once in a while, it's not such a bad idea to listen to your mother. Slurp. Tuesday. There was another announcement on the loudspeakers today, and to be honest with you, I kind of figured this one was coming. Gregory Heffley, please report to Miss Winsky's office. I knew it was just a matter of time before I got busted for what happened last week. When I got to Mrs. Winsky's office, he was really mad. Mrs. Winsky told me that an anonymous source had informed him that I was the real culprit in the worm chasing incident. Then he told me I was relieved of my safety patrol duties, effective immediately. Well, it doesn't take a detective to figure out that the anonymous source was Raleigh. I can't believe Raleigh went a backstabbed me like that while I was sitting there getting chewing out by Miss Winsky's. I was thinking I need to remember to give my friend a lecture about loyalty, lealdade, né? Later on today, Raleigh got reinstated as a patrol, and guess he actually got a promotion. Mr. Winsky said Rowley had an exhibited dignity under false suspicion. I know about really letting Rowley have it for rating me out like that. But then I realized something. In June, all the officers and the safety patrols gone on a trip to Six Flags, and they got to take along one friend. I need to make sure Raleigh knows I'm his guy. Let me get this for you, Captain. Tuesday, like I said before, the worst part of getting kicked off safety patrols is losing your hot chocolate privilege. Every morning I go to the back door of the cafeteria, cafeteria, this, This word em português é same thing, cafeteria, mesmo jeito de escrever. Só que eu não sei como que pronuncia em inglês. Cafeteria em português, cafeteria in English, I don't know. So Rowley can hook me up, but either my friend has gone deaf or he's too busy kissing the other officers' butts to notice me at the window. Yeah, menina bonzinho, good guy, good boy. Drink your chocolate, hot chocolate. You nothing. In fact, now that I think of it, Raleigh has been totally giving me the cold shoulder lately. And that's really lame because if I recall correctly, he is the one that sold me out. Even though Raleigh has been a total jerk lately, I tried to break their ice with him today. Anyway, but even that that did, didn't 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 seem to work. Hi, Paul. April. Friday. Ever since the war incident, Rolly has been hanging out with Colin Lee every day after school. What really stinks is that Colin is supposed to be my backup friend. These guys are acting totally ridiculous today. Rolly and Collie were wearing these matching t-shirts and it made me just about want to vomit. Best friend. After dinner tonight, I saw Rolly and Colin walking up the hill together, chumming it up. Colin had his overnight bag, so I knew they were going to do a sleepover at Rolly's. And I know, well, two can play in that game. The best way to get back at Rolly was to get a new best friend of my own. But unfortunately, the only person who came to mind right at the moment was Fragley. I went up to Fragley with my overnight bag so Rolly could see I had older friends options too. When I got there, Fragley was in his front yard stabbing a kite, a kid with a stick. That's when I started to think maybe this wasn't the best idea after all. But Rolly was in his front yard and he was watching me, so I knew there was no turning back. I invited myself into Fragley's house. His mom said she was excited to see Fragley with a playmate, which was term I was not too enthusiastic about. Me and Fragley went upstairs to his home. Fragley tried to get me to play Twister with him, so I made sure I stayed 10 feet away from him at all times. I decided that I should just pull the plug on this stupid idea and go home. But every time I looked out the window, Rolly and Collie were still in Rolly's front yard. I didn't want to leave until those guys went back inside. But things started to get get out of hand with Fraggly pretty quickly when I was looking out the window. Fraggly broke into my backpack and I ate the whole bag of jelly beans I had in there. Frankly, one of these kids was not supposed to eat any sugar, so 2 minutes later, he was bouncing off the walls. Frankly started acting like a total maniac, and he chased me all around his upstairs. I kept thinking he was going to come down off of his sugar high, but he didn't. Eventually, I locked myself in his bathroom to wait him out. Around 11:30, it got quite quite out in the hallway. That is when Fragley slipped a piece of paper under the door. I picked it up and read it. Dear Gregory, I'm very sorry I chased you with a booger on my things. Here, I put it on this paper so you can get me back. That's the last thing I remember before I blacked out. I came to my senses a few hours later. After I woke up, I cracked the door open and I heard snoring come from Fragg's room. So I decided to make a run for it. Mom and Dad were not happy with me for getting them out of bed at 2 o'clock in the morning, but my that point I could really care less. Monday, well, me and Riley have officially been ex-friends for about a month now, and to be honest with you, I'm better off without him. I'm glad I can just do whatever I want to without having to worry about carrying out that daddy way around. Lately, I've been hanging out in Roderick's room after school and going through his stuff. The other day, I found one of his middle school yearbooks. Rodriguez wrote on everybody pictures in his yearbook, so you can tell how he felt about all the kids and his grade. Jerk, jerk, cool. Every once in a while, I see Rodriguez's old classmate around town, and I have to remember to thank Rodriguez for making church a lot more interest. Jerk. But the page in Rodriguez yearbooks that's really interesting in the class favorites page. That's where they put pictures of the kids who get voted most popular and most talent and all that. Roderick wrote on his class favorites page 2 most likely to succeed. Bill Watson, Cat, and the Guian. Nerd, you know this class favorite thing has really got my gears turning. If you can get yourself voted onto the class favorite page, you're practically an immortal. Even if you don't live up to what you got picked for, it doesn't really matter because it's on permanent record. People still treat Bill Watson like he's something special, even though he ended up dropping out of high school. We still run it into him at the food barn every once in a while. Will that be paper or plastic, Mom? So here what I think. This school years has been kind of bust, but if I can get voted as class favorite, I will go out on a high note. I've been trying to think of category. I have a shot at most popular and most athlete are definitely out. So I'm going to have to find something that's a little bit more enriched. At first, I thought maybe I should wear really nice clothes for the rest of the year so I can get best dressed. But that would mean I would have to get my picture taken with Jenna Stewart, and she dresses like a pilgrim. Wednesday, last night I was lying in bed and it hit me. I should go for class clown. It's not like I know for being real funny after school or anything, but if I can pull off one big prank right before voting, that could do it. May. Thursday today I was trying to figure out how I was going to sneaky a thumbtack onto Mrs. Worth's chairs in history when she said something that made me rethink my plan. My Worth told us he has a dentist appointment tomorrow, so we're going to have a substitute. Subs are like camgirls. You can say just about anything you want, and you can't get in trouble. Greg Effley, will you please do this problem? Your mama. Excuse me? Your big fan, Granny. Well, I hardly think that your slap happy grandpappy. Friday, I walked into my Easter class today ready to execute my plan. But when I got to the door, guess who the substitute teacher was? Hi, honey, bunches of all the people in the world to be your sub today. It was mom. I know mom's days of getting involved at my school were over. She used to be one of those parents who came in to help out in the classroom, but that all changed after mom volunteered to be a chaperone for a field trip to the zoo when I was in third grade. Mom had prepared all sorts of material to help us kids appreciate the different exhibits, but all anyone wanted to do was watching the animals go to the bathroom. Anyway, mom totally followed my plan to win class clown. I'm just lucky in their not category called biggest mam's boy. Because after today, it win that one in a landslide. You forgot your lunch at home. Wednesday. The school papers came out again today. I quit my job as school cartoonist after Kringle the Curious Student came out, and I didn't really care who they picked to replace me. But everyone was lounging at the comics page at the lunch, so I picked up a copy to see what what was so funny. And when opened it up, I couldn't believe my eyes. I couldn't believe my eyes. It was Zooey Mama, and of course, Miss Ira didn't chant a single word of Rolly Strip. Zooey Mama, a beautiful lady, do you want to go on a date with me? I am not a lady. I am just one of those dogs with long hair, so no thanks to that lady. So now Rolly's getting out the fame that was supposed to be mine. Will you put us in your comic? Sure. Even the teacher are kissing Rolly butt. I almost lost my lunch. I almost lost my lunch when Mr. Worth dropped his chalk in history class. Zooey mama, ha ha ha. Monday. This Zoe Mama thing has really got me worked up. Rolly is getting out the credit for a comic that we came up with together. I figured the least he could do was put my name on the strip as the co-creator. So I went up to Rolly after school and told him that's what he was gonna have to do. But Rolly said Zooey Mama was his idea. I said I didn't have anything to do with it. I guess we must be talking pretty loud because the next thing you knew we attracted a crowd. Fight, 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 fight. The kids at my school are always itching to see a fight. Me and Rolly tried to walk away, but those guys weren't going to let us go until they saw us throw some punches. I've never been in a real fight before, so I didn't know how I was supposed to stand or hold my first fist or anything. And you could tell Rolly didn't know what he was doing either, because he just started prancing around like a leprechaun. I was pretty sure I could take in Rolly in a fight, but the thing that made me nervous was the fact that Rolly takes karate. I don't know what kind of hocus pocus they teach in Rolly's karate class, but the last thing I needed was for him to lay me out right there on the blacktop. Before me or Rolly made a move, there was a scratching sound in the school parking lot, and bunch of teenagers had stopped in their pickup truck and they started peeling out. I was just happy that everyone's attention was on the teenager instead of me and Rolly, but all the older kids took off when the teenagers started heading our way. And then I realized that this teenager looked awfully familiar. And that's when it hit me. These were the same guys who chased me and Rolly around on Halloween night. Yeah, Halloween night when you sleep your grandma, and they had finally caught up with us. But before we could make a run for it, we had our arms pinned behind our backs. Those guys wanted to teach us a lesson for touting them on Halloween night, and they started arguing over what they should do with us. But to be honest with you, I was more concerned about something else. The cheese was only a few feet from where we where we were this is difficult for me. From where we were standing on the blacktop, and it was looking nastier than ever. The big teenager must have caught my eye, because the next thing I knew, he was looking at the cheese too, and I guess that gave him the idea he was looking for. Rolling got singled out first. The big kid grabbed Rolly and dragged him over to Cheese. Now I don't want to say exactly what happening next, because if Rolly ever tries to run for president and someone finds out what these guys made him do, he won't have a chance. So I will put it to you this way. They made Rollies the chase. I knew they were gonna make me do it too. I started to panic because I knew I wasn't going to be able to fight my way out of this situation. So I did some fast talking instead. I would, but I'm I'm allergic to Dire. Dire é laticínios, né? Dire. Tipo assim, leite, queijo, nesse caso é queijo, né? Mas Dire é os laticínios. And believe it or not, it actually worked. You are lucky, punk. I know, I know. I guess the teenagers were satisfied they had made their point, because after they made a Rowley finish off the rest of the cheese, they let us go. They got back in their truck and took off down the road. Me and Rowley walked home together, but neither one of us really said anything on the way back. I traumatizada. I know about mentioning to Rowley that maybe he could have pulled out a couple of his character movies back there, but something told me to hold off on that though for right now. Thursday. At school today, the teacher let us outside after lunch. It took about 5 seconds for someone to realize the cheese was missing from its spot on the blacktop. Hey! Everybody crowded around to look at where the cheese used to be. Nobody could believe it was actually gone. People started coming up with these crazy theories about what happened to it. Somebody say that maybe the cheese grew legs and walked away. Yeah, it took all my self-control to keep my mouth shut, and if Rolly wasn't standing right there, I honestly don't know if you could have kept it quiet. A couple of these guys who were arguing over what happened to this the cheese were the same ones who were egging me and Rolly on yesterday afternoon. So I knew it I wasn't going to be long before someone put two and two together and figure out that we must have had something to do with it. Raleigh was starting to panic, and don't blame him either. If the truth ever came out about how the cheese disappeared, Raleigh would be finished. He'd have to move out of the state and maybe even the country. Yeah, that's when I decided to speak up. I that's when I decided to speak up. I told everyone that I knew what happened to the cheese. I said I was sick of it being on the blacktop and just decided to get rid of it once for all. For a second there, everyone just froze. I thought people were going to start thanking me for what I did, but boy, was I wrong. I really wish I had worded my story a little different because if I throw away the cheese, guess what that meant? It means that I have this cheese touch. Pera aí. Então o pessoal achou que ele que pegou o toque do queijo. I told everyone that I knew what happened to the cheese. Me on the blacktop and just decided to get right. For a second there, everyone just froze. I thought people were going to start thanking me for what I did, but boy, was I wrong. I really wish. Ah tá, ele meio que. Eu não sei o que significa certinho essa frase. I just decided to get. Tipo assim, eu decidi. Esse get rid, eu não sei o que é. Rid off. Deve ser tirar. Tipo assim, get rid of it once and for all. Uma vez por todas, tá ligado? Decidi tirar esse queijo uma vez por todas. Ah, por isso. It means that I have the cheese touch. June, Friday. Well, if you really appreciate what I did for him last week, he hasn't said it, but we've started hanging out after school again. So I guess that means me and him are back to normal. Dear Rashi ahead. I can honestly say that's so fair having this cheese touch as a hasn't be being out that bad. It got me out of doing to the square dancing unit in phys 80 because no one old partners up with me and I've had the whole lunch table to myself every day. Oh, so sad, my little boy. Today was the last day of school, and they handed out yearbooks after 80 period. I flipped to the class favorite page, and here's the pictures that was waiting for me. Class clown, Rolly Jefferson. All I can say is if anyone wants a free yearbook, they can dig one out of the trash can in the back of the cafeteria. You know, Rolly can have class clown for all I care, but if he ever gets too big for his tricks, I will just remind him that he was the guy who ate the cheese. Cheese. I will just remind him that acknowledgements. There's many people who helped bring this book to life, but for individuals, this is a very special thing. Okay, that's ended. It's over. It's over. First book is over. Okay, let's go. The book Diary of a Wimp Kid. It's over. The number one. Okay, it's over the number one. Others, I don't know. It's over this. Okay, my first book reading in my YouTube channel. Okay, let's go by 40 minutes my video. Okay, this video is my long disgrace, but